Think for a moment about a moment of crisis. Who is that calm, steady voice on the other end of the line, connecting you to help when every second counts? Today on the Deep Dive, we're pulling back the curtain on the extraordinary world of public safety dispatchers, those unseen heroes who are truly the first responders.
And our mission today really is to unpack what it truly means to be an exemplary public safety dispatcher. We're going to delve into the rigorous training, the absolutely critical skills, and the profound ethical considerations that shape this high-stakes profession, especially as it's defined in places like California. We'll be transforming what can be, very dense training materials into clear, compelling insights, really trying to reveal the human element behind that headset.
Right, and our understanding today is drawn directly from the core training materials themselves, the actual guides and workbooks that shape California's public safety dispatchers. It gives us a rare glimpse into their rigorous preparation.
Exactly. So to truly understand these unseen heroes, we need to start at the beginning, building a solid foundation. What is public safety dispatching at its core? You might not always see them, but their impact is just, well, undeniably profound. There's a powerful poem in the training materials called Who Am I that really captures this essence. It includes lines like, I am the voice that calms the mother breathing life into her infant son.
Wow. And another line that really resonated with me was, I am the invisible hand that holds and comforts the elderly man who woke up and found his wife of 50 years had passed away. It also highlights how dispatchers are constantly working, to gather crucial information to ensure the scene is safe for field units, always anticipating the worst, hoping for the best. It really paints a picture of their incredible dedication, working weekends, strange shifts, and holidays, and enduring what's described as strenuous, demanding, and endless training. Heavy stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And it's vital to grasp the core environment they operate in, known as a public safety answering point, or PSAP. Think of it as the central nervous system connecting citizens in crisis with the field personnel, police officers, firefighters, paramedics. It's a job that's consistently demanding and stressful, yet incredibly rewarding too. Kind of a roller coaster, as the material suggests.
A roller coaster, right. And these centers aren't all the same, are they?
Not at all. They range dramatically in size. You have small local operations, maybe with just a handful of dispatchers covering a rural area, all the way up to massive, bustling hubs in major cities coordinating hundreds of emergency responders. Each scale brings its own unique set of pressures and complexities.
Okay, so what does this all actually look like on a day-to-day basis? When a call comes in, what's the very first thing a dispatcher is doing, and what else is happening at the same time?
It's mind-boggling when you think about their daily tasks, honestly. Imagine holding a conversation, trying to understand a chaotic 911 call, while simultaneously typing critical information into a computer system and coordinating radio traffic with field units all in real time.
Wow.
That's the essence of their Common Core duties. They accept and evaluate incoming calls, your 911 calls, and crucially, they can access translation services right there for hearing or speech-impaired individuals. Then there's managing all the radio dispatch services, following through on service requests like calling tow trucks or running warrants, handling all emergency notifications. It truly demands incredible cognitive agility. It's far beyond just answering the phone.
That's a crucial point about the cognitive load. And how does all of this fit into the bigger picture, the sort of broader mission of public safety?
It's absolutely central.
Yeah.
The dispatcher's role is, well, indispensable to the broader policing mission. That mission, as laid out, has four major elements: to protect and serve the public, enhance quality of life, generate and maintain public trust, and uphold individual liberties and constitutional rights.
Oh.
Peace officers simply cannot fulfill these without the dispatcher's unwavering support. Dispatchers are helping people in profound crisis, they're educating the public on safety, and they play a direct, behind-the-scenes role in enforcing laws. They're often the public's very first impression of an emergency agency, too.
That gives us a vital glimpse into their world. Really important. But how does someone actually step into such a critical role? Let's explore the rigorous path to becoming a dispatcher now, from selection right through to the in-depth training. You might be wondering about the career realities, the pros and cons. On the pro side, you've got things like a compressed work week, which can mean more days off.
Right.
lots of overtime opportunities, and the fact that no 2 days are alike. It offers really good pay and benefits medical, dental, vision, retirement, disability, paid vacation, sick leave, holidays. There's also a strong sense of camaraderie, education assistance, high demand for experienced dispatchers, and job security once you complete probation. And it's a job that truly requires critical thinking, with all the initial training being paid, which is a huge plus.
That sounds pretty appealing, I have to say. What's the flip side of that coin? What are the downsides?
Well, the cons are significant, and people need to know them. One immediate challenge is the paramilitary structure. This means a strict chain of command, adherence to uniforms, grooming standards, a highly disciplined environment. It can be a culture shock for some.
Mm-hmm. Designed for efficiency, I imagine.
Exactly, for peak efficiency in high-stakes situations.
Hmm.
Then there's the shift work. That often means missing holidays, family events. It's a 247, 365-day operation. The training is rigorous, constant evaluation, and there's the possibility of mandated overtime, breaks and lunches, varied, not always guaranteed when you want them. It demands intense concentration, making quick decisions with limited info, often life or death stuff. Plus, there's constant media and public scrutiny. Intense.
Yeah, definitely not for everyone. So if you're still considering this challenging path after hearing that, be prepared for an arduous selection process. It can stretch over several months. For agencies participating in California POST, that's the Commission on Peace Officers Standards and Training, you must be legally eligible for employment in the U.S. You have to pass assessments for verbal, reasoning, memory, and perceptual abilities, usually a written test. They'll check your oral communication skills too. And to ensure absolute trust, because you have access to sensitive info and make critical decisions, they require thorough fingerprinting for DOJ and FBI background checks.
A deep dive into your history, basically.
Exactly. To confirm you meet the highest standards of integrity. And of course, agencies can add their own requirements, like a high school diploma or GED, a typing test, maybe a polygraph, or even a psychological evaluation.
It's clear it's not just about what you know, but fundamentally who you are. Could you quickly illuminate some of those key abilities and maybe the personality traits they look for?
Absolutely. Cognitively, and these are the basis for that POST entry-level exam, you need strong Vredel skills. That's reading, listening, pulling out facts, drawing conclusions, and writing clearly, often under immense pressure.
Okay.
Reasoning involves applying rules to problems and following sequential instructions flawlessly. Memory is crucial, storing and retrieving facts and details, like instantaneously. And perceptual abilities mean quickly and accurately comparing information, shifting between written stuff and what you're hearing without missing a beat.
It's truly a demanding set of characteristics. I'm struck by emotional control and adaptability on that list of essential personality traits you mentioned earlier. Can you give us a quick sense of how those play out day to day?
Oh, absolutely critical. Emotional control is paramount because you're constantly dealing with people in crisis, often at their most frantic or desperate. A dispatcher has to stay calm, level-headed, no matter how intense the caller gets. Adaptability is just as vital because no two calls are the same, and things can change. Boom, just like that. You might go from a minor fender bender to a life-threatening incident in seconds. You have to shift focus, shift protocols seamlessly. And beyond those, yeah, traits like integrity, dependability, teamwork, maturity, positive attitude, they're all foundational. They really make up the whole package needed for this role.
So, once selected, the training itself is meticulously structured, right? Directly linked to job competencies. How do these phased learning programs prepare someone for the real pressures?
Yeah, they typically start with an initial orientation, agency overview, how evaluations work, chain of command, that sort of thing. Then the learning often progresses in distinct phases. For instance, some agencies might start you with intense call-taking training before moving to records or radio dispatch. Others, like San Francisco apparently, have a 7-week classroom phase, then 12 weeks on-the-job phone training, then another 12 weeks just for police radio.
Wow, that's extensive.
It is. This phased approach lets trainees build foundational skills incrementally. You tackle the more complex stuff only after you've kind of mastered the basics.
Okay, this next part really seems to illuminate the core of their professional development. The California PSD Basic Dispatcher course. What makes this mandatory entry-level training so foundational?
Well, first off, this isn't a short course. We're talking a significant multi-week commitment well over 100 hours, often 120, sometimes even 160 hours of intensive training.
Right.
It ensures every dispatcher meets a rigorous standard before they even, step into the hot seat for real. It's broken down into 14 learning domains covering everything from professional orientation and law to communications and critical incidents. But what's truly eye-opening, I think, is how holistic it is. Beyond the expected stuff, there's a dedicated section on wellness management, LD 113.
Wellness management. That's interesting.
Isn't it? It's not just a nice to have. It's a stark acknowledgement of the immense psychological and emotional toll this job takes. It embeds resilience and self-care right into their professional foundation from day one.
That's a really important point about wellness. I imagine that consistent evaluation and feedback you mentioned earlier aren't just for performance, but also vital for helping them cope with that stress, right?
Absolutely. That's a huge part of it.
Mhm.
A critical element throughout this training is daily evaluation and consistent, timely feedback. They use something called a Communications Training Competency Sign-Off Manual, or CTC manual, with these detailed job component checklists. Trainees get rated daily. They're expected to show consistent improvement. This provides a clear audit trail, for liability, but also identifies exactly where someone might need extra help or remediation.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this culminates in a probation period at least 12 months, where you have to demonstrate competence continuously, pass or fail, essentially.
Okay, let's step into the hot seat now for part 3. Let's explore the core skills and maybe some real-life scenarios that truly test these dispatchers. It's important to remember, as the materials point out, this training is built on adult learning principles. That means adults learn best when they understand the reasons behind the training and, crucially, by doing.
Right. Hands-on.
Exactly. The training involves problem-solving opportunities for real-world situations, actively cultivating those higher-order cognitive skills, assessing relevance, context, potential implications, the whole picture. It's not just rote memorization, it's applied intelligence.
And that leads directly to their mastery of critical information gathering. When you call 911, they'll ask you structured, systematic questions. Where's the incident occurring? What is happening? Provide vehicle descriptions, suspect descriptions, weapons information.
Those key questions.
Those key questions. This seemingly simple, systematic approach lets them prioritize calls instantly, feed vital real-time information to field units, and, most importantly, ensure officer safety by anticipating threats.
So they're masters of verbal de-escalation and getting information. But what happens when the caller can't speak, or the line suddenly goes dead? How do they handle those really tricky situations, like silent or dropped 911 calls? Every second still counts.
Yeah, those require incredible improvisation, but also strict protocol adherence. For silent calls, dispatchers are trained to listen for subtle cues, like keypad presses. Pressing 1 might mean police, 2 fire, 3 ambulance, 4 yes, 5 no, things like that.
Oh, okay.
It's crucial for situations where someone can't speak, maybe they're in danger or have a disability. For dropped calls, the protocol is usually to immediately try calling back. If they can't make contact, they're often required to send an officer for a welfare check, even though, yeah, this can tie up valuable resources if it was just an accidental drop.
Shows how adaptable they have to be.
Totally. It's a testament to how the system needs to try and cover every possible scenario.
Let's bring this to life with some real-life scenarios, because that's where the training truly shows its value, right? There's a powerful story from the materials about Trainee 3. What happened there?
Right, this one's pretty amazing. Less than 6 weeks after completing her emergency medical dispatcher EMD training, Trainee 3 was just casually chatting on the phone with her elderly mother. Suddenly, her mother exclaims her father is getting blood all over that shirt too, from a nosebleed. Now, because her father was on blood thinners, this wasn't just a minor nosebleed, it was serious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the dispatcher, even though she's off duty, immediately clicks into EMD mode. Her training just takes over. She guides her mother through the exact instructions. Have Dad sit straight, keep his head level, pinch the lower fleshy part of his nose firmly.
And the incredible part.
It worked. Her mom, totally surprised, apparently just said, it stopped.
That must be incredibly validating. Even off duty, your skills kick in and make a difference.
Absolutely. Stories like Trainee 3s are powerful reminders. This isn't just a job. It's a life-saving skill set that becomes deeply ingrained. Her confidence in her career choice apparently soared after that, realizing firsthand, a properly trained dispatcher can save a life.
Yeah.
It truly drives home that idea of imagine the caller is your grandmother when it actually is your family.
It really does. The training materials also provide some powerful examples of ethical dilemmas dispatchers face. These really highlight the nuanced judgment needed. Could you walk us through one or two, maybe the scenario where a caller isn't directly asking for help?
Yeah, that's a classic and incredibly high-stakes one. Imagine a caller asking about a meeting time or maybe what dish to bring for dinner. Seems totally normal, right?
Right, innocuous.
But an exemplary dispatcher is trained to be vigilant to avoid assumptions. Because this seemingly normal conversation might be a coded message for, say, a hostage situation where the caller can't speak freely. It highlights that constant need to listen for subtle cues, apply critical thinking way beyond the surface level words.
Wow, okay. What's another one?
Another crucial ethical test involves public versus legal terminology. A caller might shout, "I'm being robbed," but based on the details, it might legally be classified as a burglary. The dispatcher's job is to correctly categorize it for the responding units without chastising or correcting the caller's terminology in that moment of crisis. It's about effective communication and data accuracy for the responders, not being pedantic with someone who's terrified.
That's a powerful lesson in discretion. So it's not just about rigidly following a policy, is it? It seems like it's about embodying the spirit of service, even when the rules might technically suggest otherwise, like the diabetic lockout scenario.
Exactly. A policy might flat out state no response to vehicle lockouts, period. But an exemplary dispatcher, faced with someone who says they're diabetic and their medication is locked in the car, well, they use discretion. They apply those core values like protecting life and figure out a way to help, maybe bending the rules slightly or finding an alternative solution. It's about thinking outside the box, but always within that broader mission of protecting life and enhancing safety.
That diabetic lockout story is fantastic. It really shows how dedication can extend beyond direct duty, driven by that strong ethical compass. And speaking of ethics, sometimes the most exemplary decisions aren't about following policy to the letter, but applying deeper values, like the jogging trail phones example.
Oh, that's another great one. A trainee, on her day off, just happens to notice that the emergency trail telephones in his city park had been removed. Gone.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't her shift, not her direct responsibility, but despite that, she proactively reported it to her supervisor. This led to the discovery that, yes, new phones were scheduled for installation, but crucially, they hadn't been programmed to connect to the 911 center yet.
Oh, that's a huge oversight.
Huge. Because of her above and beyond action, the phones were reprogrammed correctly and reinstalled. And the kicker, they've since been used by citizens needing help. It shows how even small, proactive steps driven by that commitment to public safety can have a massive impact.
That leads us perfectly into the final part of our deep dive. Character and continual growth. What truly makes an exemplary dispatcher? The sources lay out 4 essential characteristics for professional success. First, there's good character.
Right, which is basically ethics in action, built on things like trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, being a good citizen, the foundation.
Then second is proficiency, demonstrating a high level of competence.
Yeah, and that combines deep knowledge, constitutional law, state laws, ethics rules, with critical skills like coding calls accurately, managing complex radio traffic, flawless multitasking. It's also about mature judgment, making exemplary decisions, not just, avoiding poor ones, striving for the best outcome.
Third, professionalism. This means pursuing the mission with courage, composure, competence, and respect.
And upholding the highest ethical standards, committing to self-improvement, consistently generating that public trust. It's how you carry yourself.
And fourth, leadership, which isn't just about rank, right?
Exactly. It's not just formal rank. It's about influencing others positively. It's having that command presence through your tone and words over the phone or radio. It's consistently setting a positive example. It truly highlights how every single dispatcher is a leader in their own right, guiding both callers and the officers or firefighters in the field.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. Every dispatcher as a leader. And with that kind of responsibility, the decision-making process must be incredibly robust. How do the training materials ensure those decisions are not just quick, but also sound, ethically sound?
Yeah, that's where the framework for ethical decision-making comes in. The core idea is that all decisions must be legal, ethical, and effective. LEE. The training illustrates this beautifully with the example of a caller who has a speech impediment.
Okay, how does that break down?
Well, a poor decision would be assuming the person is intoxicated, maybe dismissing them, providing no service. Clearly wrong. An acceptable decision might be just sending an officer for a simple welfare check. Okay, but maybe not great. A good decision involves asking additional questions, trying harder to understand, and creating a proper service call based on the info gathered.
Right.
But an exemplary decision, That's where the dispatcher actively adjusts their own tone and rate of speech to match the caller, patiently gathers even more pertinent information, dispatches the right help properly, and crucially, relays the fact of the speech impediment to the responding officers so they can be prepared and communicate effectively too. It's thinking ahead for everyone involved.
That's incredible. Such a nuanced difference. They even have an ethical reflection tool called the Bell Book Candle Test.
Yeah.
What's that involve?
It's a quick, practical framework. The bell signifies listening to those internal warning signs, that gut feeling that something might be off ethically. The book represents consulting the rulebook laws, policies, regulations. Are you acting within the established guidelines? And the candle symbolizes imagining your actions under the bright light of public scrutiny. If this was on the news, would you be proud of your decision? It helps dispatchers quickly assess the ethical implications, especially under pressure.
Bell Book Candle. I like that. So this journey doesn't just end with initial training, does it? How do they ensure continuous learning? This field must change constantly.
Oh, absolutely. It's truly a commitment to lifelong learning, both formal and informal. Formal learning could be more PSD courses, maybe pursuing college degrees or getting specialized certifications like EMD, Emergency Medical Dispatcher, ENP, Emergency Professional, or RPL, Registered Public Safety Leader. Informally, it's about constantly reading professional publications, playing what-if scenarios in their minds between calls, observing more experienced dispatchers, creating their own study guides, maybe even driving around to really familiarize themselves with local geography and potential trouble spots. Always learning.
And it sounds like there are so many professional development opportunities beyond just being on the console, taking calls.
Absolutely. You can become a CTO, a communications training officer, mentoring new hires. You could be a lead or senior dispatcher, a tactical or incident dispatcher for major events, even train as a hostage or crisis negotiator. You might become an instructor, move into supervision, management, even become a director. The message from the sources is really clear.
Right.
You are never just a dispatcher. There's a whole career path.
Indeed. It seems their positive impact extends far beyond their core duties, too.
Precisely. Dispatchers are encouraged to get involved. Public education, community projects like 9/11 for Kids, joining professional organizations like APCO and NINA, doing volunteer work, participating in recruiting events, serving on committees within their agency or community. This stuff not only builds professional skills, but also reinforces that they are a vital, visible part of the public safety mission.
And looking ahead, the future of dispatching, it continues to evolve dramatically, doesn't it? Technology, societal expectations.
For sure. Dispatchers are increasingly recognized, finally, as the first responder, making national headlines sometimes, gaining the recognition they truly deserve. This career, as the sources put it, will continue to give them a rare opportunity to be a major force in the lives of others, as well as helping to maintain a free and safe society. Pretty powerful.
It really is. So wrapping up, we've seen how becoming an exemplary public safety dispatcher involves so much more than just mastering complex technical skills and legal knowledge.
hmm It's also embodying those profound ethical principles and showing a deep commitment to continuous personal and professional growth. It's demanding, it's high stakes, but clearly deeply rooted in that desire to serve and protect.
Absolutely. And as we close this deep dive, here's something to think about. In a world where every second counts and information is constantly evolving, what new forms of leadership and empathy will be required from public safety dispatchers to continue being that unwavering voice of help for communities across the nation? And maybe more personally, how can you, the listener, apply this understanding of deep preparation, ethical decision-making, and commitment to excellence to excel in your own complex endeavors, whatever they may be?